Well, it's great to have with me today, to be at the desk with Asian communication expert Bob Grove. Bob, you've been in Asia for 16 years and you've been running Edelman's Southeast Asian office for the past 6 years, during which time you've overseen a 600% growth in that business. Well done, congratulations, and it's great to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Anne.
Bob, you've a couple of months back released Edelman's 2012 Trust Survey and Barometer. What were the global results? What changes did you see this year from last year?
Yeah, okay, good. Well, let me just introduce it first. The Trust Barometer is a study we've been doing for the last 12 years, and it's unveiled annually at Davos every year, World Economic Forum in Davos. This year we looked at 30,000 stakeholders across 25 countries, and it's kind of considered the world's leading study around the status of trust in core institutions, channels and sources of information, and the criteria for corporate behaviour. So overall, I think that at the macro level, globally, we saw a dramatic decline in trust in government. If you put that into the context of what happened around the world over the last year, you had catastrophes like Fukushima, you had budget stalemate in the House in the US, you had things like issues such as News of the World in the UK, there was also the Arab Spring. You've got the Eurozone crisis. Generally, it was a difficult year. And against that backdrop, we saw that the finger pointing was primarily at government for not having dealt rapidly and swiftly with the various issues that came up. And I think no more so is that demonstrated than in Japan. In Japan, we saw the Fukushima catastrophe, and Japan, in the years that we've been doing this study, has had a very steady trust level. So across all institutions, it's been year after year, very steady, kind of regardless of economic performance, regardless of the big stories of the day. Yet this year we saw trust decimated across all institutions, across all industries, particularly energy. And particularly government. In fact, government spokespeople in Japan are trusted 8%, according to our study, which is a new record for us. So I think that just shows the fragility of trust and how it can really impact an environment. So yeah, I think overall government sort of bore the brunt of the last 12 months.
Yes. In Japan, Bob, government suffered heavily, and a business and the energy sector you mentioned. What about the media and the NGOs? How would they seem to have responded?
There was a decline in trust in media as well, because the media were initially, traditional media were initially portraying the corporate story, the government story around the disaster, and why this whole trust chasm sort of was created was because people were seeing through their own and reporting through their own social media tools that what they were being told and what was happening on the ground were very different things. So the formal traditional channels of information also were declined in trust in Japan, and strangely enough, the NGO community also declined in trust, because you thought that they had been applauded for the rescue efforts that they did post the tsunami and the nuclear power plant disaster. But actually the Red Cross, which was responsible in Japan for organising a lot of that support, was seen to have not been efficient. It was exposed for 30% of the funds that were raised being used for administration and not going to support the critical areas. So yeah, the NGO, even the NGO community didn't come out of it well.